Hello, viewer. Welcome to Chungu cha Jamii. My name is Betty Akuku. I am your host today, bringing to you live this and we are going to be discussing about psychological effects of COVID-19. I am joined through Zoom, thanks to technology, by a lady who is an expert in this area, and I'm going to be inviting her soon to talk about this broadly for our sake. I also hope that you are staying home, keeping safe, washing your hands, sanitizing, and keeping social distance. Welcome, my guest, and please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Beth, for having me this morning. It's a beautiful day. We thank God for it. My name is Grace Karaoke, and I am a marriage and family therapist as well as a mental health specialist. And I'm very glad to be here this morning.
Wow. Welcome, Grace, to the show with us today. I am so glad that you are joining us even from that distance to talk to us about issues that are affecting us during this time. Let's talk about the psychological effects of COVID-19. Truly, those who are well have no need of a physician. I know that there are those who are really having a good one during this time. They're making lots of money. They're happy to be together. They're happy to spend time together that they have never had. They're happy to be home with their children and their spouses, and they're having such a good time. On the other hand, there are those that actually need a physician. The reason as to why you are here with me today. There are those that are really suffering. What are some of the effects that you have seen, Grace, during this time?
Now, one of the obvious, the very first one is anxiety. And anxiety is the fear of the unknown and the feeling that what I knew has changed. Nobody asked me whether I want the change or not. So there is a feeling of I don't know what tomorrow is going to be. I have no control over what is going to happen.
True.
So that in itself, just the change of pace, a lot of things have changed. We were on Saturday night, and then Sunday night, or Sunday afternoon, the president comes up and says schools are closed from Monday, and you can imagine the confusion that everybody felt. We went into a time of uncertainty. We don't know what to expect from hour to hour, from day to day, from week to week.
True.
And so a lot of people, and all of us, I believe, have been thrown into a state of anxiety. So we don't know what to expect. We cannot plan, and we cannot control the way the situation is. With that, then there were issues of people were let off from work, so economical issues, where now that is financial stresses, because I no longer have my job or my business. I had to close my business. Or people who used to provide services to schools, for instance, suddenly the schools are closed. So you don't have your space where you would make your income. And so we are talking about that psychological stress that I don't know what's going to happen. And then we also have fear. We are afraid of the disease itself. So you're wondering, when I live here and I go over there, what's going to happen to me? Am I going to be in contact with somebody who has it? I remember those past 2 weeks, I was still going to work, and every time I got on the road, I would tell myself, "Is this really a good idea?"
I know.
And then we also have the parenting stress. So now you have your children in the house, and you are not used to homeschooling. You don't even know how to do homeschooling. So that's another source of stress. Then you have the couples now, the marriage itself. Normally you are not in the house together all the time. And suddenly now there is this being together that is causing you to feel the sense of anxiety again. Now, when you think about families where probably they spend very little time together, the husband leaves in the morning and he comes home at 8 in the evening, and now he has to sit in the house and have to interact with his wife every day. That in itself causes stress.
I know, and Grace,
what happened?
One of the things that really puzzles me with this kind of thing is that no one was actually prepared. Nobody was consulted. You know, it came like, you know, a sudden thing that we also have no control of. Unfortunately, as we are living our lives on a daily basis, we are not considering or even planning for such kinds of misfortunes that may happen to us. And so when we have anxiety and such kind of stresses, I don't know whether we truly know how to let out, you know, we usually have so many avenues to release this kind of stress. But now it is all bottled up in us. We have no avenues of releasing this stress. What are we supposed to do during this time? Because when I listen to you, actually, this is a thing. There's lots of these things happening to us, you know. Yes, where is the avenue right now?
Right, and so you can imagine that that the releases, the sources of release for the stress, they are no longer there. So now when you think about people who would go to the pub after work, the social gatherings, going to church, you know, having fellowship, all those things are not there. For the children, being able to go outside and play, that is not something that they are. So sometimes they are sitting in the house, and if for those who are lucky, they have electronics, they have different kinds of entertainment for their children, but there are other places where they don't. And then we also think about some people are blessed because they have big houses. And some people, they live in a one room or a bed sitter or a single room or 2-room houses. So where are you going? How are you supposed to
exactly
distress?
Exactly. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to keep social distance. You live in a single room, you live in an apartment, you do not have sufficient compound to run around and do your stuff. What are you supposed to do? They have no soccer to go and play, they have no swimming to go to right now, there are no games, you know. And for the men and the women, there are no social gatherings right now to go and just release your stress. Yes. So what are they supposed to do?
And I will tell you that that we are talking about a population, a bigger population within our country.
Exactly.
Here in the city, people who live in the slums, people who live in the places where there is a lot of people, and then usually the house is for us to go and sleep. Because during the day we are busy doing other things, and now suddenly we can't do that. And so the thing that I want to encourage everybody to do is, number one, there is the spiritual resource. That's the biggest resource we have. Think about it. When COVID-19 hit the world, what did everybody do? Even in Europe, everywhere we had people praying. Presidents and leaders asking people to call upon God. And so we do need to kind of turn towards the one who knows what we don't know, the one who holds the world together. There was this campaign that came out of Hollywood that he's got the whole world in his hands. And they were encouraging as many people as possible to just that song. And why? Because when we are in a crisis, in a world crisis like we are, something that is bigger than us, we need someone that is bigger than that.
What we don't know.
And so reaching out to your spiritual help is very important. And so that is one of the things that people should not think that it is religiosity. It's not. It's actually something that you as a person, you need. Every one of us, the peace, the self-care, waking up in the morning and having a time of prayer, a time of meditation, and a time to center yourself in preparation for what you have to deal with today. Mentally and psychologically, we do need to accept the situation.
Yes.
We don't need to be looking and saying, when will this end? When will this end? Why has God forgotten us? No, that's not going to help us. We do need to accept this is the way it's going to be for a few weeks. And then from that aspect of acceptance, then we can say, what can I do now to make my days better? The other thing that is very important psychologically is for us to learn to take it a day at a time. So before I go to sleep tonight, I need to meditate and to reflect on what tomorrow is going to be. We are still in the same situation. So I'm not waking up to go to work. My kids are not going to school. My husband is in the house. And we still have the fear of not having provision for the next few weeks.
Yes.
Because we don't know whether we have a paycheck or not. So being able to spend some time where you are thinking about tomorrow in this way. Now, if God allows me to wake up tomorrow, what am I going to do with my day? Because it's going to be the same. So psychologically, you are preparing yourself for tomorrow. That helps a lot. It's the acceptance.
Yes, Grace, I really agree with you. Taking one day at a time and acknowledging God in everything, every single day at this particular time when the world lives in uncertainty. Grace, let's look at the couples that are struggling. As you mentioned, anxiety as part of the effects, that psychological effects that COVID-19 has had, especially in our country, Kenya, today. Let's look at the couples, you know. In the slums, it's a norm to people just stay idle and drink themselves. But something is happening in the middle class, in the average estates, that people are now advancing from just the social drinking to becoming addicts. And because of the curfew, people are now buying drinks from the wines and spirits and over drinking themselves even at home. And this has led to a lot of violence. I saw that the rate has gone high. The statistics has it that we have increased more than 40% on our domestic violence. And this is such a concern in our country right now. Why is this happening to the middle class especially? Because like I have told you, in the slum, I guess this is a normal thing. People even wake up and at 9 they're drunk because of idleness. But the middle class, they wake up and go to work. You would expect that right now they would be using wisely the much they have been able to save during this period of time. But what is happening that people are kind of losing their senses and getting themselves into this addiction?
Yeah, well, you have said it very well. The people, when we are thrown into a crisis like this, our mind, our brain goes into a state of kind of depression, you know, or anxiety, if you may, where we are not able to rationally think. So we are flooded with emotions, and the emotion that mainly floods us is the emotion of helplessness. There is nothing I can do about this. So normally, if a person is not in touch with themselves, if they don't have a strategy for stress management, then what is going to happen? The stress is going to overwhelm them, and they will look for a way to escape. So normally, usually they go for a drink with a friend, so they don't, because of the social, they are there, it's social, and then they can actually, they don't have to drink so much because they are getting what they need. But then suddenly right now, they cannot be able to have the drink plus the friends.
Yes.
So the drink becomes the main way that I am going to deal with this.
Yes.
That is an escape. And people need to understand that the coronavirus is going to come to an end.
Yes.
COVID-19 is going to come to an end.
Yes.
By the time it comes to an end, what will you be? How will you be? And where will you be? So that life will continue. And how will you be when that comes to that space? So you're right, there is a risk factor here for people developing alcoholism or other drugs because they want to escape these negative feelings of anxiety and fear. So what I want to say, people need to do is to be able to be cognitively aware and accept the situation and come up with a plan of action. These days I'm looking and I'm seeing on Facebook these places where are sharing what they are doing on a daily basis. People are cooking a lot. Mandazi zimepikwa, chapati zimepikwa, makeki on the I'm seeing people who are doing, and I did myself. I did a cake for the first time on the stove. Why? Because we are looking for ways to make our life more bearable.
Yes.
So we are not just sitting around and feeling sorry for ourselves. So do something. Even if you're going to have a drink, let it be moderate. Don't escape. COVID-19 is our reality. It's here. Now, the other thing that I want to share here for families that are in that situation where you're talking about.
Yes.
These are people, middle class people, are people who are learned. And there are people who have an education.
Yes.
There are people who have jobs. You know,
they have the ability to think. They have the ability to think that, I mean, this time, because you're not receiving any pay, then we need to save up, you know, for this period that we do not know when it's coming to an end. They have the ability to think. What's happening that they're not thinking?
Yes, because of the fact that the brain is so flooded with the negative emotion, and they are giving themselves in the feeling of helplessness. So they are also going into a state of hopelessness.
And they're not used to the confinement. Are they really used to being confined also?
Yes, because all this confinement is causing people to feel that they cannot live their lives the way they want. You feel like you can't breathe. So I want to share that what we need to do. We need to be more proactive.
Okay.
One of the things that we still have is YouTube. We still have the internet. Some time every day to look at the do-it-yourself videos.
Yes.
Find things that you could do during this time when you are confined. To learn, to create something that you have always wanted to do.
Yes.
Open your mind. Read about emotional intelligence so that you can live that. I also want to say the fact that we have been confined at home and we are being told to keep social distance. It doesn't mean we can't go for walks.
I know.
It doesn't mean that we can't take. We need to take precautions. Get your kids the mask. Get yourself a mask, and you guys go for a walk.
Exactly.
You know, you don't have to go too far. Just go around the estate and walk.
Yes.
Let the kids ride bikes. Just take precautions and get out there. Don't just sit in the house because they say don't go anywhere. Encourage, take your kids out, have fresh air, because fresh air is very important to mental health, and the sun also gives us an ability to handle the stress. And then there is also something else, exercise.
Yes.
The kids are at home. Kids love to do stuff where they are moving around. So turn on that YouTube channel and do some yoga moves. And follow somebody who does fitness.
Yes.
Dance, put on Nani, Willie Paul or whoever, and dance. And
yes, because
have
I agree with you, Grace, because people are now eating a lot, just being idle at home, and they're adding too much calories that are not being utilized. So it's a good thing to actually exercise, like you say.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And so that is what I was saying. Let us accept what we have.
Yes.
And then from that acceptance, we ask, what can I do? What do I have control to do? Can I eat more healthy? This is the perfect time. If anybody is listening to us and they have been wanting to lose that 5 kilos, this is the perfect time because you can plan your meals. You can plan to walk around the house, to go up and down the stairs. You can plan to do your stretches early in the morning or late at night. Whatever it is, you can follow somebody who does nutrition and learn from them as you are watching their videos about to cook, how to make foods so that we look for avenues of distressing, avenues of of continuing to grow even though we are confined.
Yes.
And so then there is something else I want to add here, is that the couples who are in the house now, some of them, they usually do not have time together at all. So they normally, there is one of them who feels that I would, and usually this is women, who are usually thinking that, oh, if we only had more time. Now, suddenly the husband is home, and as a wife, you've always wanted him to be involved in raising the kids, or checking their homework, or getting more involved, spending time with you. But suddenly he is at home, and he himself, he is completely demobilized. He's not able to pick up and do anything because he's stressed. So he sits and he's on the phone and he's on the news and all that. And here you are, you had expectations that now that we are on lockdown, we will use this time. So what happens is that the woman begins to nag the man. And niliona mahali pengine they were saying that the men are saying ninatumwa tumwa. And so, you know, there is that traditional African man who does not like to be told to go do something.
Who does not even like helping with chores at home.
I'm sorry?
I'm saying there is the man also who is not used to doing chores at home.
So there are these expectations. We also need to check ourselves. If you are a woman in the home and you are feeling angry and frustrated with your husband, check your mind and ask yourself, what is causing my frustration? Oh, I am frustrated because I had expected, kwa sababu wako nyumbani atanisaidia with 1, 2, 3, 4. So communication becomes a very important tool to be able to communicate. I would, instead of saying wewe hata hausaidii, ona vile umekaa pale, why not say something like, I would really love it if you would help me with the children. If you would you take the boys out for a walk? I don't know. Just find a way to communicate with each other. And for you guys who feel that your wives are nagging, be more proactive. Offer to help out. You don't have to wash dishes, but you can offer to do something else. Some of these men, some of you guys are really good cooks. You know, offer to cook a meal for the family. Now, I do hear a lot of times men who say, watanizoea. This is your family. You know, so this is family. It can be really good family time. But I also want to say, for those who are feeling again confined because you are an extrovert, you are used to going out, we have Zoom. A lot of people I'm seeing, a lot of people are calling up their friends and saying, hey, let's have a Zoom meeting. And they get together on the Zoom, they laugh, they tell jokes, they share about what is going on.
Exactly. Grace, there are still so many ways of distressing. There are still lots of ways. Our confinement is just, you know, it's not something that is actually practical and hindering us from doing anything we want to do. If people are the ones who do social drinking, they could still buy drinks and moderate, you know, and do that at home. If they want to meet their friends, they will still have avenues. There's Google, there's Skype, there's Zoom that you're mentioning. There's still so many ways of meeting your friends. And plus, we are not on total lockdown. It's just that we have to follow the government regulations. And I don't know, Grace, exactly why we have a rise in the statistics in our domestic violence. I don't know why this has actually come to be, because if it's just about helping with chores at home, how will that get into violence?
Well, the thing is that the cases of domestic violence that have gone up may not necessarily be new cases. They may be cases that have been there, but because so it's usually an occasional those cycles of, we have 3 weeks of we are okay, and then the 3rd week we have a fight, and then there is domestic violence. But maybe it has been mild, but now because of the confinement and because you see, the thing is that if I feel in the past, maybe if I'm in a toxic relationship, and my spouse is looking like it's going to be bad, I can run to my neighbor's house.
Yes.
I can go to my sisters. I can do other things.
Yes.
But right now we don't have those avenues.
Yes.
They are not as readily available as they were before. And then the person who is the perpetrator of violence, they don't have the opportunity to go out and distress themselves. So when they are in the house, they are agitated anyway. They are frustrated anyway. They are angry. People who are domestic violators, they are usually angry people. And so anything is going to trigger them because of that closeness. But also remember, domestic violence is about power and control. And so what is going to happen is that when they are in this confinement, they will want to assert more power and more control. And so when now in the past he usually goes away and he comes back home and akipata vile umepika anapiga kelele lakini anakula. But right now he is right there with you, or she is right there with you all the time, monitoring everything you are doing. And so the levels of stress are very high. The levels of agitation are very high on both sides, and so the triggers are too many, and there isn't that easy way to walk away from the situation. So it becomes, now we are talking about the fights become much more they become much more frequent. But also the power and the control. Now the person, there is no outlet. Now, I want to say at this point, we have a toll-free number for domestic violence, which is 1195. 1195. So if you are in a place where you are afraid and you feel like you need some support, please call that number. Remember also that can be a problem, because if the perpetrator is in the house with you, he's monitoring even what you are doing on the phone. He's monitoring what you are watching, who you are talking to. Because that is the nature of abuse or the nature of domestic violence. So it is difficult, but we want to encourage that if you're in that kind of a situation, it is okay for you to kind of, if you have a chance to go outside and have some fresh air to breathe in. If you can reach out to other people who can support you, so that you can find some reprieve from all of this. The perpetrators, I usually, sometimes people do things because they think it's normal. They know it's wrong, but they feel like that's what they know what to do. So even for the perpetrators, go outside, go walk around, and think about the situation you are in, and ask yourself if there is anything you can do to protect your family, rather than having that confinement. And I know that people listening to me and knowing how a domestic violator works, they think, to me, Grace, they don't usually think in those terms. But there are people who are genuinely feeling agitation and feeling frustrated and angry about the situation, but then they take it out on the family. So those ones, I want to say to them, do some stress management. Walk around, think about, call your buddies and laugh a little bit, and do these other virtual meetings with other people, so that you're not feeling that you are in that space by yourself. And and I also want to say that the support systems which are there, and we have a challenge in Kenya, because we don't have shelters for people to go to when the situation is volatile. So you can imagine if we had some places where people could go, even for the perpetrators, to be able to know, if you feel that the thing is building up, that there is a place you can go, you can leave and go find some reprieve, personal reprieve. So but the police numbers are still there. The 1195 still there. Reach out to your spiritual leaders because they are reachable, and reach out to friends. And most of all, do some self-care. You know, when you have the opportunity to go out and get some fresh air,
just
and
find a way of treating yourself. Yeah. Grace, what is the other effects, the psychological effect that this COVID-19 is having on us Kenyans?
I think a lot of us will probably struggle with depression.
Yes.
Because what I have been talking about is a lot about anxiety. But depression is usually the feeling of things will never be the same again. And that is true. You know, this is going to affect a lot of us in many ways.
And it's mostly for lack of acceptance, is it?
Sorry?
It's mostly for lack of acceptance, accepting the situation as it is right now.
Yes, because there is something that we call resilience, and all of us, we are able to develop resilience, and resilience is the ability to bounce. So that depression can be the other thing that can will become part of the aftermath of COVID, because of now you can imagine if we have a lot of conflict within the home, then the person who is the victim of that conflict is going to have to carry along those feelings of neglect, rejection, abuse, and disappointment, betrayal, all those. Now, there is something else I need to add here.
Yes.
People who are perpetrators, both male and female, they also have something else they do. Most of them do have another mpango wa kando somewhere, somebody who helps them to feel better. Or, so when they fight at home, or when they have this thing that happens, then they have a place to run to. And now that place is not there anymore. So the person who is in the house is the one who's getting all this stress. Because they can't do that. So depression is going to be one of the aftermath. And I need to let parents know it's not just you adults who are being affected by this. Our children are also going to develop, if we are not careful, we are not watching them, they will develop anxiety and they will develop depression. Now, how do you tell anxiety in a child? Crying too much, nightmares, not being able to play like they normally do, clinginess, where they are clinging to you. Anytime you walk away, they want to come and say, they want to see where you are. So and in a home where there is violence and there is tension, that is what is going to happen. Number one, you have children who want to protect the parent who is the victim. So every time they see mom wake up and they follow her. So they develop that, and you want to be very careful as a parent. If your child begins to wet the bed, and they never used to do that, they had stopped that, and then suddenly they are wetting the bed.
That's a sign. Is that a sign of depression in the child?
It can be a sign of a mental disturbance. So it can either be anxiety or depression. And then the withdrawal. And then the teenagers are saying things like, nobody loves me, nobody cares about me, not wanting to come to family gatherings, not being irritated with the sibling. These are signs of the stress they are feeling. And so it would be very important for the parent who is able to do this to have family time. So make sure that you sit and talk about how everybody is feeling. One of the ways with younger children that you can help them process the COVID-19 is prayer. Children love to pray. And so why don't you tell them we have these things we want to pray for? I remember my son telling me, Mom, I don't know what else to pray for about COVID-19. And so I told him, we can pray for CS Kagwe. You know, we can pray for the health workers. And you come up with a list for the kids that's a way of processing their fears. And also learning that they can bring their prayers to God and God cares about them. So it's very important to also watch for the children, how they are doing.
Because you have mentioned children, Grace, there's also another concern that apart from the domestic violence, there's also lots of child abuse. And you wonder, this is a time that you would expect that parents would show love to their children because it's an opportunity for them to learn who their children are. We've never had such kind of a time in our country where parents are not going to work. Of course, you've had holiday time for the children, but the parents are never there 24/7 with them as they are right now. This opportunity, unfortunately, has become such a misfortune because children are also being abused. And they're also getting so stressed when they see their mommy is battered, when there's no peace in the house, and they see their dad is drunk. You know, a lot of dads used to drink and come back home late when children are asleep. But now they have to get into this and see all this that is happening right now. And there's lots of child abuse as well during this period of time.
Right, and usually we can say that what the children are experiencing right now is they are the victims now of their parents' stress. So mom is stressed out about many things. She's stressed out about whether she will have a job, when it's over, how will she pay rent. She is really stressed out. And dad is stressed out the same way. So akiona mumetumia pesa kidogo, you have bought biscuits for what? You know, so he begins to feel frustrated, financial frustration. So because of lack of self-awareness and self-regulation, and when I say self-regulation, I'm saying that I'm aware I'm angry right now, and I need to deal with my anger, because if I don't deal with it, I will take it out on the kid. So what is happening? Parents are shouting at their children. Parents are overwhelmed because children are children. So right now, as I was coming here, I have left them set up to do some schoolwork. Guess what? When I get out of here, I will find they are playing. That is normal child behavior. But then if I go out there and I am expecting them to act like adults, my frustration for them, on them, is going to be overly, without me understanding that they are children.
It is okay, Grace, to go downstairs and find them playing instead of working.
Exactly. So understand your children and be able to realize the reason why you are the parent is so that you can constantly redirect their energy. So that is part of your job. But there is something that parents can learn from the school system. And all of us can learn this, is that children, when they are told what to do, and they are told what to expect and how and what is the end goal, they are willing they are willing to please. So if there is structure at home, and this is one of the things, some of us parents, me included, we have a challenge because we normally, kids go to school, we only are with them on Saturday and Sunday. And so during those 2 days, there is no structure, we just do whatever. But now we are having as parents to have to wake up in the morning and have a schedule for them. So one of the things that can reduce the feelings of being overwhelmed for parents is to be able to have a structure for the children. So tell them, you know, from 9 to 1, it's time for us to have quiet time. This is the book. I want you to read from here to here and answer these questions. And then after they do that, then you eat lunch. And then maybe I'm not going to say maybe. This is the time to train your children on how to cook, on how to do other things. So engage them in the activity of running the home, because when you do that, you first of all, you are taking you are sharing chores with them, you are delegating, so you are not as overwhelmed. And then when in the afternoon, carve out an hour or two for them to go outside and play if it is possible, because I know some places it's not. But then even when they are out there, let them learn the precautions. They are listening. My 10-year-old, he can tell you every precaution that has been talked about. Sometimes I don't think that he's listening, because we normally, you know, listen to the the 7 o'clock news.
Yes.
And so he's or sometimes when Kagwe is on, we will turn it on, and I will hear him telling me the number. He will even listen. Sometimes I watch Al Jazeera to be able to see what's going on in other words. So our children, it's not like they don't know what is happening.
They do.
So engage them.
Yes.
Engage them in that. And then you know, some of us who are gifted in crafts, maybe you don't even know that you are gifted in crafts. Go and get some of those you know, construction papers and glue and scissors, and have the children do something fun. Have them make cards for their grandparents. Have them make cards for their teachers. Whatever it is that can help, so that you don't feel so overwhelmed and stressed. Then I need to say something else here. Social media.
Yes.
So we have people who are posting the things they are doing with their kids. And they look so happy, and they look like they have it all together.
Yes.
And you begin to feel like you're not doing anything for your children.
Yes.
You stress their social media to itupe.
Just shelve it for now.
Because it becomes like an expectation that I have of myself, because I also feel pressured to post something about what me and my kids are doing. Don't do that. Then there is also something else that children can really get involved in.
Yes.
There is something we call the urban farming, where you are getting, you get some containers and you have the kids plant seeds and watch them grow and all that. That is something they are learning in school. You can bring it into the home, and outside there you guys can try. Hizi mikebe zote za oil.
Yes.
Kwa madrawers. We cut them up, we find some soil, we find some seed, and
put some plants. Grace, there are the families that I want us to think about during this time. The families that have medical expertise, the ones who are working in the hospitals during this time, taking care of the patients. Of course, I know that they get back. Already their families are in so much fear, and they also have the torture of having to see people die and having to meet with the reality of COVID-19 face to face. I've probably just been hearing about COVID-19. We haven't seen any patient or victim suffering to the point of death. But these people are here in hospital every single day. There's so much pressure that they have to deal with on a daily basis. And they still have to get back home and be the mothers and be the fathers. And nobody seems to understand them. And there's so much torture going on in their heads. How should they be supported from both sides?
Right. Now, that is a population that we really need to be very concerned for. And I hope that that the Ministry of Health is providing opportunity for them to debrief, and to be able to have debrief meetings where maybe even once a week, where they come together and they are given the opportunity to process what's going on. And you know, now for them there is the fear of them contacting it or them bringing it to their family.
True.
Their home. I can't even begin to imagine the stress of that, the anxiety around that.
Yes.
That they still have to go to work, but then they have to come home to their families and hug their babies and all that. So, you know, taking the necessary precautions.
Yes.
But also, even if the employers or the Ministry of Health is not providing for that, they themselves, they can get together and find a way to process with each other, to be a support, peer support for each other, because they do need their mental health. They really do need for that emotional and psychological support for them to continue to work, and also for them to have a space where they can share their concerns. Now, the times when I have to leave and go to the supermarket or go to the kiosk or to get something, when I come back home, I'm always worried, you know, and so I'm being very careful that when I get into the house, There is I go in through the back door, I go straight and remove my clothes and wash my hands before I even get in contact with my kids. Because again, this is the fear that we have. So I can imagine with the health workers who are having to be in the hospital and
with the patients on a daily basis.
The patients, the fear there, the anxiety there must be very high. So it's important for us to do as much as we can to support them, but also for those who are able to offer them direct psychological and emotional support to do that. Now, their families, especially the spouses, they also have a role there to be able to be kind and to be supportive and to allow them to process. So don't, if you are a spouse of a health worker, please pray and prepare your mind. In fact, I encourage you, if you are a spouse of a health worker, to go online and find ways to support your person. How can you be an emotional support for them? Because that is going to be very important. And please, if you are the spouse and you are feeling worried about them, you know, now every time they leave, you feel like, oh gosh, are they going to be okay? And you are afraid they might get the virus and then they will die, blah, 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 blah. If you're feeling that way, then even you seek for psychological counsel. All of us counselors are doing online counseling at this time. We are very open, and myself, I have done quite a bit over the phone, over Zoom, over Skype, over WhatsApp. Let yourself process so that a professional can help you kind of find ways to support the person you're with, but also for your own support, so you do not become a source of stress to your spouse who is already stressed.
I get it, Grace, because, you know, you could seek for psychological counseling for something that can be solved, but when the disease is already home, then there's very little you can do about it except just to deal with it, you know. Much as they have lots of fear, you know, fear may be taken away through counseling or by a psychologist, you know, but the fear of meeting with these people on a daily basis and your spouse is coming home, and this is something that the symptoms do not show immediately, you know, it's actually quite stressing. And as you said earlier, we can only rely on the one who knows the things that we do not know, and that is God. I am also, Grace, really concerned about, you know, the effects I think have gone such a long and deep way, because families have had to find ways of going up country to run away from the effects of COVID-19. And right now, our county is on a lockdown. That means you cannot escape to the village if your village is not in Nairobi. You know, and then people have to suffer and be confined and be in this until a time when they do not know, you know. So what are we supposed to do? Because for those who had means and ways of going home and this is now shut, you know, the effects have really been too much. I would ask you to speak to them even as you speak to us your last words as well.
Right. Now, you are right. We can't fix it. This is beyond our control, and that is why Now, I want to say this from a psychological and mental health perspective. We need to understand that our thoughts about the situation is what creates the emotion that we have, and that emotion then creates the behavior. For instance, when COVID-19, we have been locked down, we have no control, then it creates a feeling of helplessness and fear. Now, this helplessness and fear, if we feed it, if we keep thinking about it, then it becomes huge in our mind, and then we look for escape routes. Those escape routes to deal with the stress. Remember, stress, sometimes it is, stress is really energy within our system. And so that is why when people are stressed, whether it is happiness or whether it is negative, it's because you can be stressed because of getting a new job. That's a great thing, but then it's stress because you have to change your life to fit in with a new job. It's a new place, you've never been there. What if I fail? All that. But then the negative stress is what we are experiencing right now. That this is a situation we have no power over. So the behaviors, those are are the ones which are creating the things, the experience. So what we want to do is what I said in the beginning. Learn to accept it and then take it a day at a time, because you can't go up country no matter how much you want to go. So that is not a solution. Throw it away, throw that expectation, leave it alone, and tell yourself, I'm confined here. Now I need to look at today, what can I do today to make my life more bearable? And so we are going to encourage people to avoid. Remember, every choice has a consequence. Now, the thing is, we need to understand that that for us to go through crises, we have to understand that we have a higher mental power than we usually use in normal life.
True.
So when things are going okay, I don't have to engage my mind that much.
To think deeply, yes.
It's predictable. I know what to do. When we are in crisis, that is the time to employ the higher levels of executive thinking. But most of the times we stay here and the crisis comes, it paralyzes us and we give in to the paralysis. But for people who have the ability to break through, what happens is they go into problem solving. They don't sit down and say, I wish I could. No, they say, what can I do?
Yes.
I can't do that, but what can I do? What is the problem? The problem is that I'm feeling confined, I'm feeling frustrated. Are there things I can do? Mentally, yes, I can do some mental exercise where I'm doing self-talk that is positive and that is hopeful. And then I'm also using my spiritual resources. I'm praying, I'm calling my friends and I'm asking them, hey, and I'm reading the scriptures, I'm being built, I'm looking at YouTube and listening to motivational speakers so that up here, I am okay. Because if I'm okay up here, then in here and with my body, we will go according to the way that I am thinking up here. So you are right. We do not have control over this, no matter how much we wish. So what we need to do is to do what we know to do. So number one, we follow the health directives, the government directives, and also our own. But number two, that we watch what we are thinking about. And I want to say here that people need to avoid watching too much of the COVID-19. I also want to caution people who are having to go through this process of spiritual confusion. So people have already, prophets have already come up and said that this is the Antichrist and all that. We need to be very careful and to understand that it could be we don't know. We leave what we don't know to God. We do what we have control over. Now, let's say, for instance, if COVID-19 is the Antichrist and Christ is about to come and I'm afraid of that, why am I afraid? What am I supposed to do with that fear? I'm supposed to get closer to God. You see, so what can I do instead of fearing these things that I have no control over?
Wow, Grace, thank you so much for having been with us through Zoom to teach us those very good points that we needed to know, especially during this time of COVID-19. I really appreciate your time and advice, even to our viewers today. I also thank you, viewer, for watching this episode. I truly hope that you have been enlightened, you have received counseling for free, and it has been such a good time. The things that we do not know, let us leave them to the one who knows. Have a good time. My name is Betty Akuku. I have been your host.
Now it's time for speaking. Everyone, are you ready?
Kwa mtu alikuwa anauma. Si niliwaambia.
Oh, Mr. Sun, Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, please shine down on me.
Kwaheri.
Everywhere, GBS.